In 2008, the world's financial system collapsed. Banks failed. Governments panicked. Millions of people lost everything. And in the middle of all that chaos, a 70-year-old grandfather walked into his office and told his sons, "It's all been one big lie. $65 billion gone for 30 years, and nobody noticed." This is not just a story about fraud. This is a story about what we choose to believe and why. Bernard Lawrence Madoff was born in 1938 in Queens, New York. Not rich, not connected, not special. His father's business failed. His family struggled. Bernie watched and learned one thing: appearances matter more than reality. At 22, he started his own investment firm with $5,000 saved from working as a lifeguard. By 30, he was a respected figure on Wall Street. By 50, he was chairman of NASDAQ, one of the most powerful stock exchanges in the world. He had the right suits, the right clubs, the right handshake, the right smile. People didn't just trust Bernie Madoff. They begged to give him their money. He was exclusive. You had to be invited to invest with him. And that exclusivity, that feeling of being chosen, made people stop asking questions. He promised steady returns of 10 to 12% every year, in good markets and bad. No volatility, no risk. Any real investor would have known that was impossible. But people didn't want to know. They wanted to believe.
This is the first psychological trap. We trust what we're not supposed to have access to. Psychologists call this the scarcity principle. When something feels exclusive and hard to get, we automatically assume it must be valuable. Madoff understood this instinctively. He never advertised. He never chased clients. He turned people away. And the more he said no, the more desperately they wanted in. He didn't sell a product. He sold a feeling. The feeling of being special, of being chosen, of being safe.
Here's what Bernie was actually doing. Nothing. He wasn't investing anyone's money. He was putting it in a single bank account and paying old investors with new investors' money. This is called a Ponzi scheme. It's one of the oldest frauds in existence, and Bernie ran it for 30 years, managing $65 billion with a staff of 17 people on a single floor of a Manhattan building that nobody was allowed to visit. He called it the 17th floor. Employees from other floors were not permitted to go there. No explanation was ever given, and nobody asked.
Psychologists who studied Madoff identified what they call a psychopathic mask. Unlike violent criminals who rule through fear, Madoff ruled through warmth. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't threatening. He was generous, humble, charming. He remembered your children's names. He donated to hospitals and universities. He served on charity boards. This is far more dangerous than aggression, because our brains are wired to trust people who seem like us, people who seem good. The clinical term is prosocial psychopathy, a person who has learned to perform every signal of trustworthiness with zero underlying emotion to support it. Bernie Madoff didn't feel trust. He manufactured it, perfectly, for decades.
Let's talk about who Bernie actually stole from. Not faceless corporations, not Wall Street banks. Elie Wiesel, Holocaust survivor and Nobel Peace Prize winner, lost his entire foundation savings, $15 million, gone. Thousands of retirees who had spent 40 years building their savings woke up one morning with nothing. Jewish charities, hospitals, schools, organizations that fed the poor and educated children closed overnight. There were 37,000 victims in 136 countries. Bernie Madoff didn't just steal money. He stole the security that people had spent their entire lives building.
One victim wrote in her court statement, "I'm 80 years old. I worked every day of my life for this. I trusted him completely. I have nothing left to leave my children. Nothing. I don't know how to start over. I don't have time to start over."
Here's the part that should make you angry. Bernie Madoff was investigated by the SEC, America's financial regulator. Not once, not twice, 6 times. A financial analyst named Harry Markopoulos spent 9 years trying to prove Madoff was a fraud. He sent detailed mathematical evidence to the SEC. He told them exactly how the scheme worked. He begged them to investigate properly. They ignored him every time. In his testimony to Congress, Markopoulos said, "The SEC is financially illiterate. I gift-wrapped and delivered the largest Ponzi scheme in history to them, and they didn't get it."
I was scared. I was scared for my life. If Madoff had known what I was doing, if his people had found out, I genuinely believed I could be killed. And the SEC still did nothing.
This is what psychologists call authority bias. We don't question people in positions of power. We assume that if someone has risen high enough, they must deserve to be there. They must have been checked. They must be legitimate. Bernie Madoff understood this perfectly. He didn't hide from regulators. He welcomed them. He served on regulatory committees. He helped write the rules. He wasn't working around the system. He was the system, and the system, designed to protect ordinary people, protected him instead.
December 2008, the financial crisis has destroyed the markets. Investors are panicking. Everyone wants their money back. Bernie Madoff has $200 million left. His clients want $7 billion. He calls his sons into his apartment, Mark and Andrew, who work at the firm, and he tells them the truth for the first time in 30 years. The next morning, his sons call the FBI, their own father. December 11th, 2008. Federal agents arrest Bernie Madoff at his penthouse on the Upper East Side. He doesn't resist. He doesn't deny anything. He simply says, "I knew this day would come eventually." He is sentenced to 150 years in prison, the maximum possible. The judge calls it extraordinarily evil. $17 billion in actual cash, gone forever. The rest, paper profits that never existed. In the courtroom, victims read their statements, one by one, for hours. Madoff sat and listened. His expression never changed.
In one of his final prison interviews, Bernie Madoff was asked if he felt remorse. He said, "I've left a legacy of shame." Then he paused and added, "But I also made a lot of people a lot of money for a very long time." He died in federal prison in April 2021. He was 82 years old. He never fully apologized.
His son Mark hanged himself on the 2nd anniversary of his father's arrest. He was 46 years old. His son Andrew died of cancer in 2014. He was 48. His wife Ruth, who stood by him for 50 years, lives alone, estranged from everyone she knew, stripped of almost everything. Bernie Madoff built an empire and destroyed everyone he claimed to love, just like Frank Lucas before him, just like every man who confused power with purpose.
But here's the question nobody asks. Bernie Madoff ran a $65 billion fraud for 30 years, under the noses of regulators whose only job was to stop this. And when it all collapsed, not a single regulator went to prison. Not a single bank that enabled him faced serious consequences. Not a single rule was changed that would actually prevent the next Madoff. Because Bernie Madoff didn't break the system, he revealed it. The system rewards people who look trustworthy over people who are trustworthy. It protects those with access over those with evidence. It moves slowly enough for the damage to be done before anyone acts. Bernie Madoff is gone, but the conditions that created him are still here. The question isn't who is the next Madoff. The question is, what are you trusting right now without asking why?
Harry Markopolos, the man who tried to stop Madoff for 9 years, was asked what he learned from all of this. He said, "Never trust someone just because everyone else already does." Next week, we look at the person who didn't just fool investors. She fooled doctors, scientists, and the entire Silicon Valley establishment with a machine that didn't exist. Subscribe. This one will make you question everything.